everyone, this is Dr. Jawad. I want to talk about an important mineral and electrolyte that we need daily. We need it a lot of it. We typically need about 4,700 milligrams daily, and that is potassium. Okay, potassium is one of those minerals that we need a lot of. Now, its brother is sodium. So we need about 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day, but we need 3 times the amount of potassium to help balance out the sodium and potassium that we put in our system. 4,700 milligrams. Now, potassium is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal electrolyte. Again, what it does, it helps store glucose in the liver and muscle. Okay, it helps store glucose in bulk form called glycogen. Now, without sufficient amounts of potassium, we're not going to store that glycogen in the muscle and liver. So what are we going to do? We're going to store fat instead. So this is where potassium is a phenomenal mineral. Now, what happens when you have a deficiency of potassium? You'll experience fatigue, irritability, mood changes. You'll have actually insulin resistance, because one of the things that with potassium is that insulin controls potassium. It's kind of like a teeter-totter. So if you have high insulin, you're going to have lower potassium. If you increase your potassium, what it's going to do is it's going to help shunt out the insulin for better utilization. Why? Because it's going to help with the glucose in the liver and muscle rather than the fat. So it's actually going to help people who are diabetics, type 1, type 2, insulin resistance. Sugar cravings. One of the reasons why you have sugar cravings is because you're low in it, because you're having insulin spikes. So oftentimes when I know that I'm craving sugar, what do? I go for the potassium. I go for something low in potassium. Muscle cramps, heart palpitations. Now, one of the reasons why that potassium is so phenomenal is because it's known as the relaxer. Sodium, I always say, is the excitatory. Potassium will relax. So if you have heart palpitations or irregularities of the heart rhythm, potassium will help stabilize it. Digestion problems, okay? Because remember, your digestive tract is a muscle. Constipation, muscle weakness. Okay, these are all indicators that you might be deficient in potassium. Now again, the question is why? Why am I deficient in potassium? It could simply be that your diet. First and foremost, the diet, the sugar. If you have too much sugar, remember, insulin controls potassium, it's going to shunt out the potassium. But vomiting, sugar, too much sugar will flush out the potassium. Diuretics, if you're taking diuretics, oftentimes people who have heart conditions, they're on a diuretic. And then they wonder why they have muscle cramping, muscle aches, fatigue, tiredness, so forth and so on. Yeah, because the diuretic will flush out, the diuretic period is going to flush out all important minerals from your system. High cortisol, when you're stressed out, that's going to flush out the potassium. It's immediate response. It's how the adrenal glands work. They want to flush out the potassium to buffer the system, because one of the functions of potassium is a buffer. So when you have this acute stress response, sure, the cortisol levels are going to increase, which is going to increase your insulin, because cortisol is a sugar, and it's going to shunt out the potassium. So that may be the causes why you're potassium deficient. Now, you could take a potassium supplement. However, even the best potassium supplement out there contains only 99 milligrams of potassium. You're going to have to take a handful. So I made this mistake myself. But I always recommend foods. Foods first and foremost. Now, avocados loaded in potassium. The average avocado is about 1,067 milligrams of potassium. I have one avocado every single day for breakfast. A banana 422. Now the thing about bananas is they're a little bit high in sugar. Butternut squash, 493 milligrams of potassium. Phenomenal. Beet greens, 442 milligrams of potassium. Coconut water. I just recently discovered this one. Coconut water is loaded with potassium. 600 milligrams in a bottle. And it doesn't taste too bad. So with my avocado and then coconut water, I'm about halfway there. Spinach. I love spinach. 540 milligrams of potassium. Sweet potatoes, 1 cup, 448 milligrams. And white beans, It's 319 milligrams. Now, this is just a list. This is the foods that I actually enjoy eating. But you could always Google foods loaded in potassium. Now, what's important about potassium is because it works together with sodium. We have a pumping mechanism in all of our cells on the cell surface called the sodium-potassium pump. Now, the purpose of the sodium-potassium pump is to generate electricity throughout the body. Okay, so you have outside the cell, you have sodium outside the cell, you have potassium inside the cell, and what happens, it pumps. This pumping mechanism helps regulate the sodium and potassium in the system, in your body. Now, if you're taking in more potassium, if you're taking in more sodium, which again, we need 1,500 milligrams of sodium and 4,700 milligrams of potassium, okay, if you're taking in the reverse amount, because the typical standard American diet is loaded with sodium, but we don't take enough potassium. Sodium is excitatory, potassium relaxes. So what that's going to do, the pumping mechanism is going to pump too much sodium into the cell, it's going to dysregulate the sodium-potassium balance. And then this could cause the deficiency, this could cause the symptoms, okay? You can remember, because the sodium-potassium pump, the function is it charges the cell, because again, we have the electrolytes. It helps with the muscle contraction and relaxation. The nerve conduction, fluid helps with the hydration. Energy, the sodium-potassium pump generates cellular energy. Okay? So potassium is a phenomenal mineral. It acts as an electrolyte. It relaxes the body. Get them, get a lot. Thanks for watching. Please share with a friend. Be good.